At long last, I have reunited with my long-lost biological daughter. Tears cascade down my cheeks as I yearn to rush forth and embrace her. Suddenly, a flurry of words appears before me, reminiscent of a barrage of comments. The true heiress suffers so greatly. Her biological parents and brother harbor no affection for her. Their hearts belong solely to the duplicitous faux heiress. The genuine heiress will be falsely accused, isolated, and bullied, while her family turns a blind eye. Heartbroken, she ultimately succumbs to despair and takes her own life. This is utterly stifling. I came seeking a tale of rebirth and vengeance, not a recounting of the true heiress's tragic past. The true daughter? Are you speaking of my child? Before I could ponder this, my adopted daughter, Xia Anning, had already leapt into my embrace. How delightful! My sister has finally returned, and I no longer need to weep in secret each day. As I spoke, her voice faltered, "Mother, since my sister has returned." Should I prepare to leave? I understood that she felt superfluous. Do not worry, I shall vacate this home and return everything to my sister. I desire nothing but her happiness. Tears streamed down her cheeks, her petite shoulders trembling, evoking a profound pang in my heart. Though she is not my biological daughter. I had raised her for over a decade. How could I bear to part with her after all these years of affection? Just as I was about to offer her some words of comfort, a barrage of comments filled the screen. The green TBTCH who occupies the nest. Aware of her own redundancy, why does she not hastily depart? Look, the green tea fake daughter cries, and the whole family is distressed. Yet no one acknowledges the true daughter's grievances. The most despicable is this biological mother. She claims to want to make amends with her true daughter, yet has never genuinely cared for her. Otherwise, how could she fail to see the longing in her biological daughter's eyes for her embrace? Every word in the comments dripped with scorn and fury. A chill coursed through me, compelling me to instinctively glance at my daughter. She stood in the corner. As frail as a malnourished sprout, her face pale and her large eyes filled with fear and helplessness, resembling a startled fawn gazing at this suffocating home. My heart felt as if it were pierced by countless steel needles, an agonizing ache. She ought to have been the pampered princess of the Xia family. Yet my negligence had allowed her to be abducted by human traffickers, subjecting her to years of suffering. My poor daughter, the one I longed to redeem with my very life. The thought of the comments flashed through my mind, warning that she might be slandered by the adopted daughter, isolated, bullied, and ultimately driven to despair. A wave of dread washed over me from the soles of my feet to the crown of my head. I inhaled deeply, suppressing the turmoil within, and when I turned my gaze back to Xia Anning, my expression had turned icy. Anning, you're right, my biological daughter has returned, and everything that belongs to her shall naturally be returned to its rightful owner. I paused before continuing. I will also assist you in finding your parents so that you may be reunited as a family. Xia Anning abruptly looked up, disbelief etched across her features. Her lips quivering, "Mother, do you truly no longer want me?" Wailing, "Xia Qifeng, what nonsense are you uttering? Anning is our daughter. This is her home. And no one shall drive her away." My husband, Lu Weizhou, rushed forward to shield Xia Anning, his voice raised in admonition. My son erupted, "Mother, I tell you Xia Anchuan will only acknowledge Xia Anning as my sister throughout this lifetime." He glared fiercely at his cowering biological sister, his tone rife with contempt. "If you dare to expel Anning, I will leave with her. I will not remain in this home." I could scarcely believe my ears. The trembling girl in the corner is their true daughter, their biological sister, sharing their blood. Why do they reject her so vehemently, yet extend their hearts to an adopted daughter, even risking their relationship with me to defend her? A surge of frustration welled within me. And just as I was about to confront them about their apparent folly, the comments resumed. Is this biological brother out of his mind? He rejects his biological sister for a counterfeit. The fake daughter isn't entirely a fraud. She is, in fact, the illegitimate daughter of the true daughter's father. 2. What? My adopted daughter is my husband's illegitimate child? I stood frozen in place, unable to comprehend. At that moment, they looked at me. Assuming I had capitulated and dared not expel the adopted daughter, their expressions brimming with concealed triumph. Especially Xia Anning, whose lips curled upwards while she pretended to wipe away tears. Meanwhile, my biological daughter appeared increasingly agitated, her small hands clutching her clothes tightly. her steps retreating little by little, as if preparing to flee this suffocating home. My heart tightened, and I grasped her icy hand, pulling her firmly into my embrace. Little one, do not be afraid. This is your home. If anyone is to leave, it shall not be you. I turned to face them, my voice sharp. In that case, I shall not hold you back. You three, leave my sight immediately. The air thickened with tension, and all three stood in stunned silence. Mother. Are you jesting? Xia Anquan's eyes widened in disbelief, pointing at my daughter. You would drive us away for an outsider. Lu Weizhou's face darkened. Qifeng. Your actions will shatter the children's hearts. Are you intent on destroying this family? The comments were equally bewildered. What on earth? Has the vicious biological mother had a change of heart? The plot has unraveled. In the original story, the wicked biological mother forced the true daughter to kneel and apologize to spare the feelings of the fake daughter. Moreover, the wicked biological mother warned the true daughter never to disclose her identity, insisting she only be referred to as a sponsored impoverished student, or she would be deprived of sustenance. It was the biological mother's negligence that led to the true daughter suffering from depression, ultimately leading to her demise. The wicked biological mother is the most despicable. What? In the original narrative, I am depicted as a cruel mother who abuses her biological daughter while doting on the fake one. Which foolish author penned this novel? Can it be reported and taken down? However, now is not the time for complaints. My son had already lunged toward my daughter, shouting, "It's your fault our family has become discordant. Why did you return? You should have perished out there, you scourge." He raised his arm as if to strike. In a flash, I raised my hand and delivered a sharp slap across his face. The sound echoed throughout the living room, and silence fell as he stared at me in shock and disbelief. Mother, you struck me for an outsider? Outsider? My tone turned frigid. This is my biological daughter. Your true sister. Can you not discern who the true outsider is? My gaze shifted to Lu Weizhou and Xia Anning, and I rolled my eyes. Xia Anquan, with reddened eyes, bellowed, "Fine. Since you have chosen this scourge, do not expect me to remain your only son. You heartless person, I will never forgive you." With that, he turned and bolted toward the door. 3. Xia Anquan, halt. He paused, turning around, a hint of arrogance lingering on his lips. Xia Anning's eyes brimmed with tears. Her demeanor that of a delicate flower. "Mother, please do not argue with my brother. It makes me very sad." I rolled my eyes and smirked. "You overestimate yourself. I called him back merely to retrieve the car keys. After all, I am the heartless one, and the car is mine. He has no right to take it." Xia Anquan's face flushed with anger as he forcefully threw the keys to the ground, gritting his teeth. "I do not care to drive your junk car." He glared at me, adding, "In the future, even if you beg on your knees, I will not return. Anning, come with me. Your brother will not allow anyone to bully you." He shot a fierce glare at my biological daughter, dragging Xia Anning out with him. Yet I clearly saw the impatience and disdain in Xia Anning's eyes. Perhaps she did not wish to leave, but felt compelled to feign reluctance as she was pulled away. After they departed, Lu Weizhou's face reflected deep sorrow. "Qifeng, do you mean to say that our years of affection for Anning cannot outweigh a person we have just recognized?" He appeared as if he were the one wronged, rather than the biological daughter who had been lost for 15 years. I raised my gaze to meet his. My tone icy and devoid of warmth. "Lu Weizhou, I find your attitude highly problematic. From the moment our daughter stepped through that door, you have shown her no concern, instead favoring an adopted daughter with no blood ties. Do you have some other connection with her?" Lu Weizhou's expression changed abruptly, a flicker of panic flashing in his eyes before he forcibly regained his composure. "Qifeng, do not entertain such wild thoughts. I am even more delighted than you that Wanwan can return. I just cannot bear to part with the Ning, who has been with us for so many years. Besides, our family is not so impoverished as to sustain only one daughter." He quickly added, "Let us do this. We can publicly declare that I was expecting twins back then, but one was lost, and now we have found her. Wouldn't that bring everyone joy?" Observing his evident concern for the adopted daughter, I became increasingly convinced that the comments in the bullet screen were indeed true. This man, who professed to love me for a lifetime, had already betrayed me, and I foolishly aided him in raising his illegitimate daughter. It is utterly nauseating. Yet at that moment, I did not erupt in anger, nor did I question him, for my heart was laden with countless doubts. I suppressed all my emotions and calmly stated, Until we find Ning's biological parents, she may continue to stay in our home." Lu Weizhou chuckled awkwardly. "As you wish." He then excused himself to persuade our son to return home early to apologize and admit his mistakes. I sighed and nodded. Ultimately, he is my biological son. No matter how furious I am, I could never truly disown him. As long as he sincerely apologizes to his biological sister, he will remain my good son. However, once Lu Weizhou left, the bullet screen erupted once again. This old man is quite sinister. He only brainwashes his son to rebel against his biological mother and despise his biological sister. Xia Anchuan is the most foolish villain. Under the instigation of the old man and the false daughter, he killed his own mother for the sake of wealth. Ironically, it was the false daughter who sent him to prison. After Xia Anchuan was captured, all of the Xia family's wealth belonged to the old man and the false daughter. What? My son would kill me. My wealth would fall into the hands of others. Very well, splendid. I immediately called the bank to freeze all their cards. After the call, I turned around and saw my daughter curled up, her small shoulders trembling uncontrollably. She bit her lip, her eyes filled with fear and helplessness. Mom, is it my fault? I shouldn't have come back. My heart ached as if it had been pierced by a blade. I pulled her tightly into my embrace. My voice choked yet resolute. Silly child, you have done nothing wrong. Your mother loves you. This will always be your home. Remember, your name is Xia Anqing, the only daughter of Xia Qifang. This name belongs solely to you. No one can replace it. Anqing stared at me in a daze, tears streaming down her face. But they all say I am superfluous, that I am an outsider. They're speaking nonsense. I cradled her small face in my hands. You are the young lady of the Xia family. Who are they to define your worth? A wave of dizziness washed over me, and memories surged forth like a tidal wave. 15 years ago, when my mother-in-law sprained her ankle, Lu Weizhou insisted that I take our 2-year-old daughter back to our hometown to visit her. That day, the sun was blazing, and I merely stepped into the house to serve my mother-in-law a bowl of rice. When I stepped outside again, my daughter, who had been drawing in the yard, had vanished without a trace. In those rural areas, there were no surveillance cameras, and I reported her missing, plastered missing persons notices everywhere, and searched the entire village. Yet found not a single clue. Ultimately, the police concluded that my daughter had been abducted by human traffickers. I had inadvertently lost my daughter. Every night, I would dream of her crying for mommy, save me. The heart-wrenching cries pierced through my bones, leaving me breathless. Meanwhile, Lu Weizhou feigned concern, promising to find our daughter. Yet before long, he returned with a little girl who was the same age as my daughter. She was well-behaved and clever, and her eyes bore a striking resemblance to my daughter's. Her arrival indeed provided solace to my nearly withered soul. I adopted her and named her Xia Anning. Yet I knew all too well that no matter how sweet her words or how obedient her demeanor, she was not my Anqing. For the past 15 years, I had never ceased my search for my daughter. As long as there was a glimmer of hope, I would not relent. Until a week ago, when I visited an orphanage to donate, I encountered a child drawing in a corner. Just one glance, and my heart was inexplicably tugged. A powerful force roared in my mind, compelling me to conduct a paternity test immediately. Upon receiving the paternity test results, confirming what I had longed to know, I hastily instructed the driver to bring my daughter back from the orphanage. Seeing her emaciated form filled me with an overwhelming sense of sorrow. She must have endured countless hardships over these 15 years. Reflecting on the bullet screen comments, I had reason to suspect that my daughter's disappearance was not a mere case of abduction. Gurgle. A sound emanated from my daughter's stomach, pulling me from my fury and anguish. She instinctively covered her belly, her little face flushed. Mom, I'm sorry, it wasn't intentional. My heart shattered. How cautious had this child been, feeling guilty even for being hungry. Silly girl, if you're hungry, just say so. What would you like to eat? I'll have someone prepare it for you. I called for Aunt Zhang, our nanny. Upon seeing me, she wore an impatient expression. Madam, it's still early. The sir, young master, and young lady aren't home yet. Why not wait until they return to cook? Cold dishes aren't enjoyable. As she spoke, she cast me a sidelong glance. Madam, I don't mean to criticize, but it's rather heartless of you to send Miss Anning away. Also, as a woman, you should know your place. You shouldn't contradict the sir or strike the young master. You should also hand over the company to him and the young master sooner rather than later. Slap. My hand struck her sharply, cutting her words short. Zhang Jia, who do you think you are to lecture me? My voice was laced with ice. If you're here to cook, then get on with it. If not, get out immediately. The nanny clutched half her face, her eyes filled with resentment. Yet, she ultimately bowed her head and retreated to the kitchen. Don't let that old witch cook. She'll slip laxatives into the food. I was momentarily stunned, my anger flaring anew. I rushed into the kitchen, intending to kick the nanny, but the bullet screen comments surged even more frantically. Do you know why this nanny is so arrogant? Because she is Lu Weio's mistress. Explosive. What's more explosive is that Lu Weizhou, while Xia Qingfang is away, has turned their home upside down with the nanny. Disgusting. My stomach churned violently. My house needed a complete renovation. However, the shocking revelations did not end there. The nanny thought Xia Qingfang was dead, believing she could become a wealthy lady, so she obediently followed Lu Weizhou's every command, even adding slow-acting poison to the milk Xia Qingfang drinks every night. My mind buzzed as the realization hit me. So that was it. No wonder my health had been deteriorating over the years. During every checkup, the doctors only mentioned fatigue and never diagnosed the underlying cause. I had been slowly consumed by those around me. Even more terrifying was that I knew this truth yet possessed no evidence to act upon. Aside from dismissing her, I had no means to confront her. At that moment, I could not afford to act rashly. Taking a deep breath, I donned a gentle smile. Zhang Jia, could you please go to the market and purchase some fresh ingredients? Prepare a few hearty dishes that my husband, son, and Anning enjoy for when they return. Aunt Zhang squinted and smiled. Ah, madam, now you're speaking sense. You mustn't show favoritism to outsiders. It would break the heart of your own family. After she left, I immediately arranged for hidden cameras to be installed in every corner of the house. Additionally, I called my most trusted assistant, instructing her to find the best private investigator to look into both Lu Weizhou and Li Tsuehua, Lu Weizhou's biological mother. Li Tsuehua, greedy and fond of gossip, would be an excellent breakthrough. I refused to believe that I could not obtain the complete truth with a generous reward. Those who had betrayed me and mistreated my daughter would not escape my grasp. Having frozen their cards, they could not afford a single cup of coffee outside. Xia Anchuan called me abruptly, his voice brimming with indignation. Mom, have you lost your mind? On what grounds did you freeze our cards? I scoffed. If you had the capability to earn your own money, what gives you the right to shout at me like that? You are no man. He huffed in frustration. Don't go too far. Silence, you fool. I retorted, disconnecting the call. When mealtime arrived, the three of them returned, their demeanor markedly subdued. Xia Anchuan wore a look of disdain, stating, I only returned for Dad and Anning's sake, not for you. I rolled my eyes, dismissing him, and shifted my gaze to Lu Anning. No, she could not be called Lu Anning anymore. She was unworthy of the Lu surname. From today onwards, you shall move to the guest room. That room was meant for my daughter, and you have no right to reside there any longer. Furthermore, I scrutinized the jewelry adorning her, articulating each word with clarity. Those jewels in the house were purchased with my hard-earned money. You are forbidden from wearing them or claiming them as your own. The sight of her wearing those accursed ornaments filled me with revulsion. Yet I could not simply give them to her. At worst, I would sell them off and, with the proceeds, buy new pieces for my beloved daughter. Lu Anning's eyes brimmed with tears, her voice trembling as she implored, Mom, do you truly despise me so? Tears fell as she bit her lip and lowered her gaze. Lu Weizhou slammed his hand on the table, his face darkened. Qingfang, is this truly how you choose to act so heartlessly? Xia Anchuan chimed in, Mom. If you continue to treat Anning this way, I will genuinely leave home. You will regret it. I scoffed, asserting my authority. I am the head of this household. My word is law. Anyone with objections can vacate my home immediately. A fierce glint flashed in Lu Weizhou's eyes, but he quickly masked it. He leaned close to Xia Anchuan, whispering something inaudible to me, though the comments from the audience made it clear. Old Ding advised his foolish son to endure for the sake of their inheritance. If he confronts me directly, I might bequeath everything to my daughter, leaving him with nothing. A foolish son and a heartless father, a perfect match. In the next moment, Xia Anchuan donned a facade of insincerity, bowing and apologizing. Mom, I was wrong. I will definitely get along with my sister from now on. It made me feel both disgusted and heartbroken. My son, whom I carried for 10 months, had turned into a heartless ingrate. Over the following days, the atmosphere at home was unexpectedly harmonious. The trio suddenly became exceedingly accommodating, treating me with utmost respect and pampering my daughter like a treasured pet. They vied to serve her food during meals and even fetched water for her. Thanks to the hidden surveillance I had installed, their pretense was laid bare. Yet, the more I watched the footage, the more my anger simmered. Lu Anning and Lu Weizhou were secretly venting their frustrations about me. Dad, what is the deal with that old woman, Xie Qifeng? How did she suddenly become so astute? She used to be so easily deceived. Lu Anning's features contorted with rage as she continued. I am utterly fed up with her lofty disdain towards me, yet I am expected to cater to her whims. If she doesn't perish soon, I swear I'll go mad. Dad, speak up. If I have to endure any more humiliation, I will immediately go abroad to find my biological mother. Don't be hasty, my darling daughter, Lu Weizhou intoned softly. Xie Qifeng's days are numbered, soon. The three of us will be reunited, and her wealth will be ours. I could not fathom why Lu Weizhou was so certain that my days were numbered. It was not until I took my daughter shopping for clothes that I replayed the kitchen surveillance on my phone. There, the nanny was entwined with Lu Weizhou, whispering in her ear, add a couple more doses of poison to Xie Qifeng's milk. Once that wretched woman is dead, I will marry you and make you my one and only Mrs. Lu. The nanny agreed with a sultry tone, and they engaged in further clandestine dialogue in the kitchen. What a loathsome pair. Although the footage was repugnant, it undeniably served as evidence of Lu Weizhou and the nanny conspiring against me, and I resolved to keep it safe. Even knowing the milk was poisoned, I accepted every cup the nanny brought me each night before bed. However, I never drank it. Instead, I stored the milk in bottles for potential testing, as these would serve as irrefutable proof. Meanwhile, my private investigator delivered promising news: 2 thick stacks of documents, accompanied by numerous photographs and several segments of covertly filmed videos. Gazing at this material, I felt a wave of nausea and fury wash over me. For I had never imagined that the biological mother Lu Anning spoke of was, in fact, Zhang Xiaoxiao, a student I had once supported through her hardships, and my closest friend from university. It dawned on me that I had been their unwitting prey in their scheme for wealth. They had orchestrated a scenario of a hero rescuing a damsel in distress, leading me to meet Lu Weizhou and develop feelings for him. Zhang Xiaoxiao had relayed my preferences to Lu Weizhou, guiding him on how to woo me. They succeeded. I became ensnared in a web of false love from which I could not extricate myself. In the year of our graduation, Zhang Xiaoxiao expressed a desire to study abroad, and I financed her journey. However, once she was overseas, she severed all ties with me. I paid little mind to this, as I was deeply infatuated with Lu Weizhou, prepared to marry him against all odds, even becoming pregnant out of wedlock and pressuring my parents to consent to our union. I facilitated his ascension in the company, allowing him to assume the role of project manager. Each time he traveled abroad for project inspections, he was, in reality, reuniting with Zhang Xiaoxiao, living a life of luxury funded by my resources. In his quest to hasten my demise, Lu Weizhou conspired with the nanny to drug me, resulting in a decline in my health that compelled me to entrust the company's management to him. He seized the opportunity to discreetly transfer assets. After all my kindness towards them, they united in betrayal, seeking to cut me off entirely and even poison me. Truly, they were a disgraceful pair, devoid of decency, with hearts colder than wolves and more treacherous than dogs. 15 years ago, the abduction of my daughter was orchestrated by them. The private investigator, having intoxicated Li Tsuehua, extracted numerous truths from her. Beneath the large vat in her yard lay a hidden passage. Back then, while I was delivering meals to Li Tsuehua, they had covered my daughter's mouth and nose, swiftly escaping through the underground route and handing her over to human traffickers, who sold her into a rural household as a child bride. They believed my daughter would be trapped in that desolate place for a lifetime. Yet, fate intervened. On their way, they met with an accident, and though the traffickers perished, my daughter miraculously survived. After many twists and turns, she was sent to an orphanage. My Anqing endured a miserable existence in the orphanage, having been abducted and then involved in a car accident. Her fragile psyche suffered immensely, rendering her timid and reluctant to speak, becoming a scapegoat for bullying within the orphanage. The sight of her being victimized in photographs drove me nearly to madness. Anqing, I am so sorry. It is I who have wronged you. Suddenly, the barrage of comments I had not seen in days resurfaced. What to do? The real heiress is being cornered by classmates who accuse her of theft and curse her to an ill fate. The false heiress incited her friends to frame the real heiress. This incident of slander led to the real heiress being ostracized and bullied, marking the beginning of her descent into despair. My head exploded with realization, and in the next moment, I seized my car keys and sped towards the school. Upon reaching the classroom door, I witnessed the homeroom teacher intimidating my daughter with evident impatience. Xia Anqing, if you confess now, you will be given a chance for redemption. My daughter shook her head vehemently, tears streaming down her face as she cried, I did not steal. I am innocent. I will report this to the police. And they will clear my name. The teacher scoffed derisively, still stubborn? If you didn't steal it, how did Lin Xiaoxue's bracelet end up in your backpack? She raised her hand as if to strike. Stop! I roared, rushing forward and delivering a sharp slap across her face. The sound echoed, leaving the classroom in stunned silence. The teacher, holding her face in disbelief, stared at me. Xia Dong, what gives you the right? How dare you distort the truth and unjustly accuse my daughter? And still have the audacity to strike out? My voice nearly shattered the glass as I demanded, who gave you the audacity to bully my daughter? On my way here, I gleaned the entire sequence of events from the barrage of comments. After physical education class ended, everyone returned to the classroom, and Lin Xiaoxue loudly proclaimed that her bracelet had gone missing, prompting everyone to assist in the search. Ultimately, the bracelet was found in my daughter's backpack, and thus, she was branded a thief. At that moment, Lin Xiaoxue stepped forward, indignantly exclaiming, Aunt Xia Anqing is merely the daughter of a maid. Why do you protect her so fervently? She took advantage of your affection to bully and Ning, and now she has stolen my belongings. Such a rural girl is unworthy to be our classmate. A wave of astonishment swept through the room, with whispers circulating among students, and a few onlookers reveling in the drama. I smirked and turned to Lin Xiaoxue asking, who informed you that Anqing is the maid's daughter? Lin Xiaoxue faltered, instinctively glancing at Lu Anning. In the crowd, Lu Anning attempted to slip away, but I seized her and, in front of everyone, demanded loudly. Is Anqing truly the maid's daughter? Her eyes reddened, her voice choked as she pleaded, Mom, please don't be angry. I truly want to compete with my sister. Everything at home belongs to her. I merely wish for a storeroom to call my own. It was a masterful performance of victimhood, portraying me as the cruel stepmother who is biased and unfeeling. The gaze of my classmates shifted, as if to accuse me of favoritism. With a bitter laugh, I raised my hand and delivered a sharp slap across Lu Anning's face. I initially intended to allow you to leave with dignity, yet you chose to disgrace yourself. Lu Anning shielded her face, embodying a wronged yet stubborn flower that refused to cry. I surveyed the room and proclaimed loudly, let it be known. Xia Anqing is my biological daughter, while she is merely my adopted child, and soon she shall no longer be. The classroom erupted in chaos. Students staring at Lu Anning in shock, their eyes filled with disdain and mockery. Lin Xiaoxue turned pale, disbelief etched across her face. Returning to the matter at hand, I coldly declared, you have wrongfully accused my daughter of theft. Where is your evidence? I demand the classroom surveillance footage be reviewed. The homeroom teacher was visibly embarrassed, mumbled softly that the cameras just happened to be malfunctioning today. Lin Xiaoxue breathed a sigh of relief, believing that the matter would be brushed aside. What about the surveillance in the hallway? Surely someone returned to the classroom during gym class. My tone turned icy as I continued. I have already reported this to the police. They have ample means to uncover the true culprit. Should I discover who maliciously framed my daughter, the legal department of the Xia Group will ensure she faces imprisonment. Lin Xiaoxue's complexion shifted dramatically, her breathing quickening. It seemed my words had intimidated her. It's all your fault. It's all your fault. Lin Xiaoxue suddenly lunged at Lu Anning, seizing her by the throat, exclaiming, you deceived me into believing she was merely the maid's daughter, allowing me to bully her at will. It was your idea to stuff the bracelet into her backpack. And you promised to take the blame if anything went awry. You wretched girl, why aren't you shielding me now? Lu Anning struggled for breath, pushing Lin Xiaoxue away, retorting, so what if the idea was mine? You chose to act on it. What does it have to do with me? The two girls clawed at each other, their fight far more riveting than any drama. Bystanders swiftly moved away, with some eager onlookers filming the spectacle to share in their groups, quickly igniting a frenzy throughout the school. Those who had previously insulted my daughter bowed their heads in shame, publicly apologizing to Anqing, no one daring to utter a word against her. As for the homeroom teacher, there was no need to wait until tomorrow. I would directly lodge a complaint with the Education Bureau and the mayor's office, leading the principal to announce an immediate suspension for investigation. For Lin Xiaoxue and Lu Anning's malice and slander, I would file a lawsuit without hesitation. Although their crimes may not warrant imprisonment, a few days in detention would be unavoidable. Mom, Anning merely played a small prank, and besides, Xia Anqing, that country bumpkin, is doing just fine now. Anning has apologized. Why must you be so heartless as to send her to a detention center? Xia Anshu kicked open the study door. His eyes reddened as he shouted at me. I lifted my teacup, casting a fleeting glance at him, stating coolly, those who break the law must face consequences. If you deem it unfair, you may accompany her inside. He trembled with anger, pointing a finger at me. Withdraw your lawsuit immediately and bring Anning back, or I shall no longer be your son. Oh? I chuckled coldly, slamming the teacup on the table. That sounds splendid. I no longer wish to have a rebellious son who opposes me at every turn. From now on, everything belonging to the Xia family shall be the sole property of Anqing. Xia Anshu appeared as if struck by lightning, his face contorting in rage as he bellowed. With a wicked mother like you, I am doomed to a lifetime of misfortune. After cursing, he stormed out. Lu Weizhou quickly donned a smile, feigning a sigh. Qifeng. Children are young and do not understand. Do not take offense. He will eventually comprehend your good intentions. Allow me to have a word with him. As he turned to leave, I called out to him, wait. Suppressing my nausea, I addressed him. I am preparing to host a reunion banquet, to let everyone know that Xia Anqing is my one and only biological daughter. Furthermore, Anning is a habitual liar. She is unworthy of being my adopted daughter. Once she is released from detention, I shall terminate our adoption agreement. Lu Weizhou's lips twitched briefly before he quickly masked it with a smile. Very well. I shall defer to your wishes. Yet his gaze was dark and serpentine, glimmering with malice under the light. Late at night, I intended to lie down and sleep. Just before closing my eyes, a new barrage of comments appeared. What should we do? I'm so furious. That despicable father-son duo has no humanity. So vile. All for the sake of seizing the family fortune, the old man plotted to have his son poison his own mother and sister. Although the plot has changed, the tragic end for the true daughter remains unchanged. It's quite good. Soon we shall witness her rebirth and the face-slapping of the entire family. How satisfying. The comments startled me awake, and I hastily opened the surveillance video installed in my son's room. The father and son were conspiring to present me with a grand gift at the reunion banquet. How fortuitous. I too had a grand gift in store for them. The reunion banquet was held at the old Xia residence, resplendent with lights and filled with guests. I took Xia Anqing's hand and ascended the stage. She donned a pale blue gown, her eyes bright and confident, a stark contrast to the timid girl I had first encountered. This is my daughter, Xia Anqing. I brought her to the center of the stage, my voice unwavering, declaring, she is my one and only biological daughter. The applause erupted thunderously, with some exclaiming in congratulations. Indeed, mother and daughter bear an uncanny resemblance. Their aura is identical. Congratulations, Qifeng, for reclaiming your precious daughter. My heart swelled with pride and satisfaction. At that moment, a server approached with a tray bearing 2 glasses of red wine. Anqing cautiously handed me one, taking the other for herself. She looked up at me, her voice soft yet earnest. Mom, thank you. Being your daughter is truly a blessing. My heart melted. My darling, it is I who is fortunate to be your mother. We clinked our glasses and drank the wine simultaneously. The next moment, a burning sensation consumed my throat, my stomach roiling violently. A wave of metallic sweetness rising in my throat. Coughing violently, blood erupted from my mouth as I clutched my chest and staggered backward, the world spinning around me. Collapsing on the cold marble floor. All around me, screams erupted. What happened? Call an ambulance. Amidst the chaos, a familiar yet venomous voice rang out. Mom, wake up. How could you leave us like this? Xia Anshu fell to my side, but abruptly pointed at the stunned Anqing, exclaiming, it's all your fault. If you hadn't insisted on returning to claim the family fortune, my mother would not be in this predicament. Lu Weizhou's expression turned ashen. But he quickly regained his composure, shouting to the crowd, "Did everyone see? Only these two drank the wine, and now Qifeng is in trouble. Who else could have poisoned her?" He glared fiercely at my daughter, Xia Anqing, exclaiming, "You ungrateful wretch! To inherit wealth, you would poison your own mother. Do you possess no conscience?" The guests murmured amongst themselves, someone whispering, "Hasn't it been long since her biological daughter returned? Is she so impatient to monopolize the family fortune? Surely no one would harm their own mother." Another voice suggested, "We should call the police without delay. We cannot allow Qifeng to rest in peace." The father and son relentlessly pressed their accusations upon my daughter. Lu Weizhou pretended to pull out his phone but deliberately paused, declaring loudly, "Calling the police is acceptable. But the murderer must first pay the price. Since she dared to poison her mother, she must drink the remainder of that cup and accompany Qifeng to her grave." The bodyguards rushed in, seizing the shrinking and helpless Anqing, forcing a goblet filled with red wine towards her lips. "No, don't." My daughter cried out in desperation, struggling fiercely. "I am innocent. I have no reason to harm my own mother." Xia Anqiao sneered. "Stop the charade. What innocence do you feign? You are merely greedy for wealth, eager to claim the Xia family fortune for yourself." He continued, "I advise you to drink the remaining poisoned wine obediently, as your elder brother. I will ensure you have a complete corpse to be buried." A heavy silence enveloped the room, every gaze fixated on the slandered girl, drowning in despair, with none willing to speak in her defense. It felt as though the entire world stood aligned with the father and son duo. Lu Weizhou summoned the bodyguards, intent on forcefully pouring that poisoned wine into my daughter's mouth. I could no longer feign unconsciousness. I abruptly opened my eyes and shouted, "I am not dead yet. Who dares to touch my daughter? Step away from her." My resurrection stunned everyone present. Lu Weizhou's face turned ashen, resembling that of a corpse, while Xia Anqiao's eyes widened, his lips quivering, rendered speechless. "What is this?" I smiled coldly. "I'm not dead. Are you too displeased?" Lu Weizhou was the first to regain composure, quickly donning a facade of concern, choking out, "My dear, it is wonderful that you are alive. You truly scared me just now." Slap. My hand struck his face with a resounding crack. "Lu Weizhou, cease your pretense. You nauseate me." Unfazed, he continued to feign innocence. "My love, what are you saying? Have you lost your mind from the poison? Anqiao and I were merely worried about you." Xia Anqiao hurriedly chimed in, feigning urgency. "Mom, you are alive. How splendid." "Splendid? How so?" I scoffed, regarding them with disdain. "As long as I live, you cannot frame Anqing for your crimes, nor can you rationally coerce her to her demise. In your scheme, once Anqing is dead, Anqiao can inherit my entire estate as my only son." When I insisted on marrying Lu Weizhou, my parents, fearing future uncertainties, imposed a condition requiring him to sign a prenuptial agreement explicitly stating that only my biological children could inherit my wealth. Severing any ties between Lu Weizhou and my estate, he would inherit not a single penny. Upon hearing this, Xia Anqiao's eyes flickered with panic and guilt, avoiding my gaze. Yet Lu Weizhou maintained his demeanor as if he had done nothing wrong. Of course, this was because I had yet to unveil his true intentions. "Lu Weizhou, your plans do not end here," I continued, fixing him with a steely gaze. "In your scheme, once Anqiao inherits my fortune, you would arrange for his untimely demise, allowing you to claim the entirety of the Xia family's assets for yourself, ultimately reuniting with your mistress and illegitimate daughter in a lavish debauchery. Alas, your plan has faltered. The poisoned cup you prepared has long been swapped." A wave of murmurs surged through the crowd, each individual visibly astonished. Only Xia Anqiao remained dazed, stammering, "Mom, what are you babbling about? For all these years, Dad has loved only you. How could he have a mistress or an illegitimate child?" Slap. Slap. 2 resounding slaps reddened his face as I roared in frustration. How could my daughter, Xia Qifeng, have such a foolish son? One who helps count the money after being sold out? I surveyed the audience before gesturing to my assistant to activate the projector. As the lights dimmed, the screen illuminated. The first video displayed intimate photos of Lu Weizhou with Zhang Xiaoxiao, alongside happy family moments with their illegitimate daughter, Lu Anning. The second video presented evidence of Lu Weizhou transferring company assets, Mistress Zhang Xiaoxiao using my funds to purchase properties and jewelry abroad. The third video showcased Lu Weizhou's mother, Li Hua, recounting the abduction of my daughter 15 years prior. The fourth video revealed Lu Weizhou and the nanny, Sister Zhang, engaging in illicit acts, while she administered slow-acting poison to me. The fifth video captured Lu Weizhou and Xia Anchao secretly plotting in a room, planning to poison me at the reunion banquet and frame-launching. The final video depicted Lu Weizhou bribing a terminally ill individual to run over Xia Anchao a month later. After viewing the videos, the guests erupted in outrage, hurling accusations at the father and son. Lu Weizhou, are you even human? You're worse than a beast. Xia Anchao, you are also an ungrateful wretch. You dare to harm your own mother. Those capturing the moment on their phones rushed forward to witness. Xia Anchao's face drained of color, gripping Lu Weizhou's arm tightly. Dad, is this true? Did you truly wish to harm me for the fortune? Lu Weizhou continued to struggle. Anchao, I am your biological father. How could I ever harm you? These videos are fabrications. Qifeng, please believe me, I have only ever loved you. I have never strayed. These videos are a deliberate attempt to sow discord between us. Do not be fooled. I scoffed. If there is any misunderstanding, you may explain that to the police. As my words fell, the door swung open and a cadre of police officers filed in, 2 pairs of gleaming handcuffs clasping the wrists of the father and son. Lu Weizhou, Xia Anchao, you are both suspected of murder. Please accompany us for questioning. Xia Anchao, in a state of utter panic, collapsed to his knees, clutching my leg and pleading, Mom, save me. I was wrong. I will never listen to him again. He deceived me. He incited me. I gazed down at this son who had shattered my heart countless times, feeling only estrangement and sadness. Do not call me Mom. From this day forth, you shall have no connection to the Xia family. Lu Weizhou attempted to launch into another performance, but I swiftly interrupted. Did you truly believe that Zhang Xiaoxiao cherished you so deeply, willingly remaining nameless and faceless by your side all these years, languishing alone abroad, awaiting the day you would reunite with your illegitimate daughter? Do not be foolish. I mocked him with a sardonic smile. She has been using the money you obtained from me to revel in luxury abroad, changing partners nightly. Your precious daughter is not even your own flesh and blood. Zhang Xiaoxiao awaits the moment you dispose of Anchao to seize all of the Xia family's wealth, only to conspire with her lover to eliminate you. In the end, you are merely a pawn in someone else's game. No, that cannot be. Lu Weizhou shook his head frantically, his eyes bloodshot. My assistant swiftly displayed the final video. Zhang Xiaoxiao was seen embracing and kissing various men, accompanied by a stamped paternity test, not biological. Lu Weizhou completely unraveled, howling like a mad dog. Wretched woman. I will kill her. His furious cries faded as he and Xia Anchao were led away by the police. Thus, the reunion banquet concluded in chaos, with guests departing one after another. I held Anqing tightly, feeling her trembling hands. Mom, I never desired your wealth. Having you back by my side is sufficient. Foolish child. Your mother believes in you. From this day forth, you shall be my only treasure. All that I possess belongs to you. I gently patted her back, assuring her, I promise, those who have bullied you will pay the price they deserve. Through the diligent efforts of the formidable legal team at the Xia Corporation, the court's judgment was swiftly rendered. Lu Weizhou was found guilty of child trafficking, illegal transfer of property, and premeditated murder, receiving a cumulative sentence of 18 years in prison. Xia Anchao was convicted of premeditated murder, sentenced to 10 years imprisonment. The nanny, Sister Zhang, was charged with intentional poisoning, receiving a 5-year sentence. Li Hua was found guilty of aiding in trafficking, sentenced to 3 years. Zhang Xiaoxiao was implicated in trafficking and illegal property transfer, ordered to return all assets to Ms. Xia and sentenced to 10 years in prison. Not a single individual faced the death penalty, a conclusion that I find rather unsatisfactory. However, I am unperturbed. Once they are released, I shall have ample opportunity to torment them gradually. As for Lu Anning, she poses no threat. With criminal parents and stripped of her status as the cherished daughter of the Xia family, coupled with her extravagant spending habits, her future is bleak. Shocking. The plot takes a drastic turn as the malicious biological mother transforms into a gentle, loving figure. Isn't this wonderful? The true heiress achieves happiness without reincarnation. And she is the sole inheritor of the Xia Corporation. Really? That is splendid. Long live the true heiress. Long live the biological mother. I smiled. They finally praised me as a good mother. Indeed, I have already established my will. Should any misfortune befall me, my daughter, Xia Anqing, shall be my sole legal heir. I am grateful for the presence of the comments. It was their emergence that saved both me and my daughter. Thereafter, the comments ceased to appear. In the future, I will hold my daughter's hand and stride confidently toward our new life. Epilogue. My name is Xia Anqing, a devil who clawed her way out of hell. After my rebirth, I acquired a unique ability to designate an individual to view the carefully fabricated comments I created. The second year after reuniting with Xia Qifeng, she met her untimely demise in a tragic car accident. Shortly thereafter, those adversaries in prison mysteriously perished one by one. Lu Anning vanished after accompanying a wealthy businessman to Southeast Asia. Alone, I reside in a lavish villa, inheriting a string of cold, lifeless numbers. The end. Thank you for listening. Until we meet again in the next tale.